Hey all, my name is Harissa, and in this video, I'm going to try and show you how to learn directional air roll. This mechanic is super difficult, and there's lots of videos on YouTube, but they all seem to cover different things. So I thought, why not break them all down into one video, and try and show you the way that I went about to learn this mechanic. Does that make any sense? I don't know. I'm so rusty at this, it's been a long time coming this video. Anyway, without further ado, let's just jump straight into Rocket League. If you're looking through YouTube trying to learn directional air roll, then chances are you already know why you need this mechanic. But for those of you out there who are still wondering if and why it's worth your time to learn directional air roll, then there's a very simple reason. It gives you full control over the 3D motion of your vehicle when it's in the air. Unlike regular air roll, where you're holding down the button and then using your analog stick to control the roll of the vehicle, directional air roll, as the name suggests, already gives you that roll just by pressing down the button. This leaves your analog stick free to control the angles in between the roll of your car, the side to side motion, and the pitch of your car, which is the nose and tail motion. This nearly complete control is useful because it allows for certain goals, saves, and recoveries that would otherwise be very difficult, if not impossible, without the knowledge and use of this mechanic. The first thing you need to do is bind directional air roll to a button if you don't already have it. So go into Settings, Controls, View Change Bindings, and then scroll down to Air Roll Right and Air Roll Left. I have Air Roll Right bound to R1, but if you want to learn the other one instead, then all of the things in this video apply to that as well. So now that you've got the button bound, start by slowing the game speed down. There are two ways to slow the game speed down in Rocket League. If you're on console especially, then you want to create a private match and go into your mutator settings. Change the boost amount to unlimited, change the game time to unlimited, and most importantly, click on slow-mo under game speed. This will slow the game down by about 50%. If you're on PC and have Bakkesmod, then you're in luck, because all you need to do is click on the current game tab and then drag the game speed slider. I recommend slowing everything down by about 50%, but go lower if you want to. If you don't have Bakkesmod, then you're missing out on a load of useful training tools and some really neat plugins. I'll leave a link to it in the description because it's pretty easy to install. Now it's time to jump into free play, but I recommend a large non-standard map like Throwback Stadium, because you'll have more room to move around before you crash. Start on one end of the field and fly from goal to goal whilst holding the directional air roll button, but don't worry about moving your analog stick for now. Switch between ball cam and car cam as you need, and just try to keep your camera straight. Feather your boost as well if you want to. The reason for all of this is so that you can get an idea of how your car rotates. Once you've done this for a bit, then you can start moving your analog stick around to see how your car changes on its angle and trajectory whilst holding directional air roll. Move your stick in one direction and hold it there. Reset your car so that you are spinning straight up and try another adjustment. I suggest moving your stick up, then down, then side to side, and finally diagonally to see what every adjustment does to your car. Your car moves differently if your wheels are facing towards you, so one adjustment on your analog stick can do multiple things depending upon where your car is in its rotation. It's not that every input is exactly reversed when your wheels are facing towards you, but it definitely makes things more difficult. If you can confidently control your car in the air when you can't see your roof, then it will help you to learn directional air roll quicker. One thing you can do is only move your analog stick when your roof is facing towards you. This makes it easier to learn the muscle memory because you won't have to deal with one input doing multiple things. Once you're more confident making those adjustments with your roof facing towards you, then start making adjustments with your wheels facing towards you. Eventually you'll be able to combine the muscle memory to have full control over directional air roll. Try hugging the wall and flying around the edge of the map whilst using directional air roll, but make sure that you're moving your analog stick as well. If you're only pressing down the button, then you aren't getting in the repetitions that are key to building the muscle memory. The corners of the map are the hardest parts to move around simply because there are more adjustments required to do so. It could take 1 hour or 50 hours until you're able to fly like this. No doubt it's pretty boring, but I promise you'll start to see improvement as you're building muscle memory without even knowing it. If your camera or car ends up on a strange angle, then don't just reset every time. Always try and recover out of that angle and continue on. This was the best piece of advice that I ever received when starting out with this mechanic, because every time you end up in an awkward situation, Trying to recover helps you to learn that specific adjustment. If you just reset every time, then you're not building the muscle memory for that angle. Once you're confident flying around like this, then your best bet is to start training in a custom map. I like Rings 3 by DMC because other than just being fun, it isn't as punishing as some of the other Rings maps that you'll come across. It gives you more time to recover your car before automatically resetting you. Rings is without a doubt the best way to train this mechanic, and it's also way more fun than just flying around in the air. If you're on console, then obviously Rings maps aren't an option for you. But try the Pillars map in free play instead. Start in the middle of the map and then fly in a figure 8 motion around the pillars. You'll be forced to make a load of adjustments you otherwise wouldn't come across just flying through the air in a standard map. Redirects are also a good way to train directional air roll. The Redirects pack by Poquito is one of my all-time favorites, and if you try and score the goal whilst holding directional air roll the entire time, then you'll be building muscle memory while hitting absolute bangers. It's a win-win really. You may have noticed on my controller overlay that my analog stick tends to move in circular motions around the edge of where it sits. Only occasionally does the stick actually pass through the center, and there's a good reason for this. Moving your analog stick in circular motions keeps your car movement fluid, while smashing your analog stick from one side to the other can make your car jerky in the air. It's also worth noting that you should be making adjustments on both sides of your analog stick. You'll see that I definitely favor the left-hand side, and this is a bad habit that I developed. If you're adjusting your car with both sides of your analog stick, then you won't end up with the same problem as me. It will also make sure that you are, I'm saying it again, building all of the necessary muscle memory to master this mechanic and not just some of it. Chances are that when you first start getting comfortable with directional air roll, you're going to attempt all of your aerial plays whilst holding it. This is definitely a good thing because you'll learn it quicker. However, I'm going to completely contradict myself here and say that once you really are comfortable with this mechanic, back off and only use it when you need it. I personally know a couple of people who have a bad habit of tornado spinning 24/7, and they complain that it messes up a lot of their first touches in the air. I've also quite literally spun around the ball and missed open nets because I was unnecessarily holding directional air roll. Even though you and I see pro players tornado spinning almost every time they leave the ground in RLCS, those guys live in a whole different world. Just like any other mechanic, directional air roll is there for you when you need it, but it shouldn't be used all of the time. While I really hope that this video helped you if you're trying to learn directional air roll in Rocket League, this is my first ever crack at content like this. I've lots more planned, so if you like what you see, then feel free to hit that subscribe button. You know how it works, bell notification, all that stuff. But more importantly, leave a comment below if you've got any feedback, things you think I could improve on, maybe something I missed when it comes to directional air roll, whatever it may be, because I'll be reading and responding to them. So take care of you, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.